Hey y'all, it's Dr. Lakeisha Watson, epidemiologist and data storyteller, translating data into public health insights for Black women. Welcome back to Epi Fridays. All right, so today we're talking about something that is being discussed in our communities, town halls, on social media, data centers. Yep, you heard me. Go ahead, pull up, take a seat. We're talking about data centers and talking about it through an Epi lens, so let's get into it. Now, when you hear data centers, you might think tech, AI, the cloud, all the things powering the apps we use every single day. And to be clear, I'm not anti-AI. AI is here, it's growing, and I believe there are ways we should be using it. But what we're not talking about enough is where the physical infrastructure of AI is being placed and who is being asked to carry the burden of it. And when I say physical infrastructure, I'm talking about buildings. Data centers are physical buildings, massive ones, eyesores, if we're honestly speaking. And they require a lot of resources to operate. We're talking large amounts of electricity, significant water usage for cooling, constant energy demand, and environmental output, including heat and noise. And so this matters when it comes to where these facilities are placed in the communities surrounding them. We already know from decades of research that industrial and resource-intensive infrastructure is more likely to be located in low-income communities and in Black and brown neighborhoods, and that ain't a coincidence. It's part of what we call environmental inequity. So now we have to ask, if AI is expanding rapidly and data centers are expanding with it, are we repeating the same patterns we've already seen with highways, factories, and waste sites? Because those decisions have health consequences for the communities that exposure has been introduced in. You starting to pick up what I'm putting down. Okay. All right, so we're going to shift gears and talk about water usage in data centers. I see this point online a lot, but it is rarely explained in a way that actually connects the dots. So here we go. Yes, data centers use water, okay? But the real question is, why do they need it and why does that matter? Data centers generate a lot of heat. Every time you use AI, servers are working and that processing creates heat. And just like your laptop or phone heats up when you use it too long, these systems have to be constantly cooled to keep them from overheating. And one of the most common ways to do that, especially at large scale, is through water-based cooling systems. That means water is used to absorb heat, circulate through the system, and then either gets reused or evaporated. Now, here's where it becomes a public health issue. Some large data centers can use millions of gallons of water per day, depending on the design and climate. And importantly, a lot of that water is lost through evaporation during the cooling process, which means it's not always returned to the local water system in the same usable way. So we're not just talking about water being used, we're talking about water being consumed. And water is not just a resource, it's a determinant of health. So when a facility with high water demand is placed in or near a community, we have to ask, what does that do to the local water supply? Does it put pressure on already aging or underfunded infrastructure? Could it affect water costs, access, or reliability for residents? Because in many communities, those systems are already under strain. And this is where cumulative impact comes in. If a community is already dealing with older infrastructure, periodic water disruptions, environmental stressors like heat or pollution, adding a high demand water user into that environment is adding another layer to an already stressed system. And we've already seen how water related issues can show up in real life. Think about the Flint water crisis. That situation was about water quality, yes, but at its core, it was also about infrastructure, disinvestment, and who bears the risk when systems fail. So when we talk about data centers and water, this isn't just about they use a lot. It's about who has the capacity to absorb that demand and who doesn't. Because if we're not careful, we end up placing high resource demand infrastructure in communities that already have the least room to give. And that's where inequity turns into risk, which turns into health consequences. Y'all still with me? All right. Now, here's where I want to be very intentional. The solution is not to stop innovation. The solution is equitable planning, okay? There are solutions. There are alternatives. Data centers can be placed in areas with more sustainable water access. They can use advanced cooling technologies that reduce water consumption. They can be powered by renewable energy sources, and communities can be meaningfully included in decision-making processes. That is actually very important to me. So if we have any planners in the group, anyone on decision-making bodies, that last one, okay, that is what public health informed infrastructure looks like. So as AI continues to grow, and it will, the question isn't just what can AI do, it's who is paying the cost for the systems that make AI possible. All right, y'all, that is this week's Epi Fridays. I hope you enjoyed. I will see y'all next Friday. Bye.